Because people are not number crunchers, you're going to find yourself doing a little visualizations, and one of those tools is conditional formatting. Here's an example of a conditional format where we're going to color based on some certain criteria. Highlight the bottom E4 numbers. E4 is a variable. We're going to use this F9. You can see what we're trying to do here, and I'm going to explain it. We're going to use the small arguments and maybe a few other little add-ons. Brad Williams, Excel Prime. We're going to focus on conditional formatting in this tutorial. Let me tell you what we're going to do here. As I said, we've been playing around with conditional formatting previously. Here, we want to think more of the logic with the layout. What are we doing? Forget the fact that we're doing conditional formatting. Focus more on why. What tools can we use in order to, in this case, highlight the bottom E4 numbers? We know what conditional formatting can do. It's rule-based. I'll delve into the specifics here in a bit. More than anything, it's an attempt to just point out key factors. Here, because we're using F9, hit F9, you can see that it changes, and that's good. Why? So you can familiarize yourself with sort of the workings of conditional formatting if you didn't pay attention to the previous conditional formatting section. We're going to use the word highlight. It's the same as conditional formatting. What are we trying to do? Highlight the bottom E4 numbers. In other words, the lowest 4 numbers in this list. What did we use in the past? There is the small function. There's a couple other functions that might work, but why would small work? Returns the case smallest value. The other would be min, but what does min do? Min looks for the minimum number, but that's not what we're doing. We're returns the case smallest value. One is a counting function and one is a numeric function. Using conditional formatting, you can use a formula based on the small function to highlight the smallest values in a set of data. Here's how it works. B6 is equal to small. And then within the small we have array, which would be this bit of information. K, which is what? Which is right here. E4. What are the name ranges? And these are name ranges. Num 735 and num below. Excel includes a conditional formatting preset, and we'll talk about that in a second. We're not going to use the presets, and I've touched on the presets before. They're just pre-formatted shortcuts or instant inputs. We must highlight the 5 lowest. Well, I don't know about the 5 lowest here because this is changing. The F9, there, to answer that, we must highlight the 5 lowest values in the list where 5 is a variable. The formula adds 2 name ranges. We touched on that. If you choose not to use name ranges, you know my philosophy there. You can go ahead and you can highlight this whole thing and input it. Otherwise, use name ranges. In other words, you could just say number 735. What is number 735? It would be B6 to G15, and you'd input that here, number 735. And then number below 735, you just put E4. Otherwise, you could mix this up any way you want. You can go greater than or equal to or what have you. But that's the small function. Why could you not use min? Well, we'll get into that later, all right, in another example. But again, how do we insert this? There's a couple different ways. We can go in the ribbon and we can see conditional formatting, and we can click conditional format. Otherwise, we could do what? We could use a shortcut. Well, let's say you have 100 of the worksheets that you need to update, modify, input, whatever you want to call it. You can always use the shortcut, which would be Alt H, which is home, right here, H. Then over here, L, which is the conditional format. And then whatever you're doing. You remember I said there's some inputs that are pre-installed. Here they are. We're not going to go down this road. You can do it on your own. We're going to look at new rule. We would hit an N, and then we would go from there. Hit N. You should be familiar with this. I want you to go through it later and just experiment with these different rules. But we're going to use a formula to determine which cells to format. And then we're going to input this formula right here. And then we have the format section. Let me just point out a couple things here. A lot of different stuff in this box. We can shrink this if you need to shrink it. This is just an arrow. And in terms of the formatting, hit format, you can do all kinds of stuff. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but number, you can play around here. If you needed a number format, font, this is endless. Okay, you can go in, and it's interesting. Once you start opening up all these boxes, you're going to see different choices. And sometimes there's some hidden jewels. And sometimes you're going, all right, that just makes no sense. Keep in mind, there's 40 years of stuff built into here. So some of it's legacy and some of it is more up to date. That's sort of the jewel part of this thing. Here, you can go in and you can see the different layout possibilities. The color, again, you can go in more colors. You can, whenever you're fooling around with colors, you have the standard format. Then you can go to custom. And if you have your own RGB, red, green, blue, or you can go online and get, if there's a particular color you like, you can go in and input this stuff. And it'll change to whatever color you want. Be sure to check out all of our Excel courses. Excel data and text manipulation. We have an advanced beginners and intermediate course. Excel essentials. This is for individuals new to Excel. We have an advanced, excellent beginners, level 1 and level 2, and intermediate level course. Excel formulas, formulas only. We have a beginner, an advanced, and an intermediate level course. Click on any of the links. There's a short video that explains everything about the course. Check it out. The hex, there's also a hex, a 5-digit, 6-digit hex code for whatever color you want. And just go online and you can fool around with that. Keep track of it, all right? Because if you're going to do this repeatedly, you need to note that so other people understand what you're doing. Cancel. That was just strictly for the border. And you saw for font, you can also change the color. For fill, which is this color here, you can do the same drill. You can also go in and change the pattern color. You can change, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to hit this third green because that's the format that I chose. But if I want more colors, again, you can go down this road. You can change the pattern style. You can go to the fill effects. If you want to start messing around, you can go to just, I find a lot of this stuff a waste of time and it's taking you away from what we're trying to do. Again, more colors. But if your boss says, fancy this thing up, you can see internally, you can do this. And I'm sure there's some third-party plugins that you can also throw in here. A little bit off track, but you could see once you get into the conditional formatting, open up and look under the hood, and you're going to see a lot of different options. Since there's a rule already in place, once a conditional format's in place, you can click anywhere within your range that you set and hit conditional formatting, or hit Alt H L, go to Manage R, which is down here, R, and you're going to see the inputted conditional format. All right. If you need to edit this thing, here, just hit Edit. Here's the formula right here. Here's the color. And if you need to edit, what you need to be careful about are a couple things. One, when Excel looks at this information and you've highlighted your list, Excel is going to automatically put it in absolute terms. Now that's generally not a problem for the list. But what's critical here is that this information, this B6 small, be careful, double check, make sure that the spelling's correct, that the equal signs are correct. When you're moving around in here and you modify, you cannot use your arrows. You have to use the mouse and move left or right to make any changes. Other than that, that's a quick overview or a quick review of conditional formatting. In terms of what we're trying to do, small is the choice. Brad Williams, XL Prime. Thanks a lot.